Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. It's time for this week's video. Get ready. Well, today I want to read you part of an email that I got, and because it's a good topic. And it says, "Hi, Jeff. You may have heard of this grace preacher. He teaches grace better than most, but still believes that people must place faith in Jesus, in Christ, to get saved. He recently commented on Galatians 2:20 that at the moment one believes that what Jesus did on the cross, it's at that moment when he, the new believer, dies, is buried, and is raised with Christ." And first of all, I am familiar with the grace preacher or grace teacher he's talking about. And the guy is amazing because what he does understand about grace, he understands very, very well. However, he claims that grace is only for the believer, and until one has made that commitment of faith in Jesus Christ, once they've done that, then the grace he's talking about applies. Which means he's negating his whole message of grace. Because grace is God's mercy upon us. Grace is God's favor towards humanity. It's all an act of God, not an act of us or any individual. And what's really amazing, because this man really does have a handle on grace, that he actually chose Galatians 2:20 to prove that it's once the individual places his faith in what Jesus has done. Let me read you Galatians 2:20. It says, "I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." Now he's saying that he lives because of the faith of the Son of God. He doesn't live because of his faith in what Christ has done. He lives because of what the faith of Christ accomplished. It's what Jesus' faith accomplished for all. And so, getting back to grace and his point about it just being for some, Paul talked about God's mercy, and he concluded everyone to be in unbelief, so he could have mercy upon all. We didn't receive his grace upon all until none of us believed. And further to the point, this also comes from Paul. It's in Romans chapter 5. Paul said that everyone was condemned because of one man, the first Adam, and his disobedience. Everyone was condemned, whether they accepted that condemnation, whether they believed in that condemnation, whether they had faith in that condemnation. It was a done deal. And then Paul says, just a little later after that, he says, "And also by one man's obedience, Jesus Christ, all are raised to life and righteousness." It's the same all. The same all who didn't have to believe to be condemned are also the same all that are raised to life and righteousness, who also didn't have to believe to be condemned. It's a shame because there are a couple guys out there like this guy who really get grace. And when you understand the gospel and you hear a man like this talk, you think, wow, you've really got that grace down. And then in his same sermon, he will negate everything in his message with a stipulation and a condition, which there are no stipulations and conditions in grace. He will then limit all of what he just told you about with a stipulation and a condition that you have to do something before it applies to you. And a man as smart as that should know better. But you guys know better. It's revolutionary. Have a revolutionary week.